Well, today I'd like to talk about the shoes of the armor of God, the shoes of the gospel of peace. You know, the first thing I really find interesting is that this is the one piece of the armor that there's two of. And so I was kind of thinking, have you ever got up and found one of your shoes and then you put one of your shoes on, and then I'm walking around the house like this trying to find the other one, and I end up really just walking in circles, and it's really surprising how much one shoe balances you off and everything. And so I was like, I don't understand, Lord. Is there two gospels? There's certainly not two gospels, Lord. You said you are the way, the truth, and the life. There's only you. And so he asked me, he's like, well, what is the gospel? I was like, well, the gospel was you coming, born in a manger, lived a sinless life. You healed people. You spit in the mud and rubbed it on people's eyes and walked on water. And you went to the cross and you died for me. And then you rose again. And so I was like, well, there you go. That's the gospel. But then Mark 4:14 says that Jesus preached the gospel. I was like, oh, that's kind of odd, because everything I listed that Jesus did for the gospel, none of it was about preaching. And I was like, oh, so Jesus had to also preach the gospel. And then I started thinking, I was like, imagine if Jesus came, he lived a sinless life, but he never called to his disciples, come follow me, I'll make you fishers of men. Or he never told anybody, I lay down my life. Or he never told anybody that destroy this temple and I'll raise it again in 3 days. Or he never taught us about the kingdom of heaven. What if he just lived, kept his mouth shut, died, and then rose again? Wouldn't it be Jesus kind of like walking around with one shoe on? It's kind of like he had to walk the walk and talk the talk. And so I really started thinking about that. So then what does that mean to me? I know that we've been taught lessons about people watch us. If you're a believer, people do watch you. You may be the only Jesus that they see. And so we know that people that are always talking about Jesus, but then living like hell the next day, turns people away from the gospel. We can see that if you're talking the talk, but you're not walking the walk, it turns people away. But what about when I'm walking the walk, but I'm not talking the talk? You see, I know a lot of good people that are not Christians, but if you looked at their life, you would be like, oh, that person's living a really good moral life. And see, I'm like, well, then what's the difference between that person and that person? See, I think it really comes down to we really need to put both shoes on. Like it's implied the shoes are a movement. So it's about walking the walk and talking the talk. See, we have to do both. I mean, Jesus walked the walk to the cross. But then on the cross, he says, Father, forgive them. Father, forgive us. Help us to take the plank out of our eyes so that we can help those around us. I want to walk fully in the gospel. I want to walk the walk and talk the talk. That way I can speak life into other people's lives.